with a 90% win rate and a very tight stop loss. This is an amazing scalping robot. In the first two videos, we did the coding for Forex pairs USD-JPY, Euro-USD, and GBP-USD. Today, we're going to look at the modifications required to run this EA on Bitcoin, gold, and US indices, namely Nasdaq and Dow Jones. So with no more shenanigans, let's start. Before we get to the coding of the modifications, let's run a quick backtest to have a bit of an indication of what the EA is all about. So I'm going to start with BTC USD on a 5-minute chart starting from 2023 until 2024 today. I'm going to run it on every tick with a €1,000 balance to start with. Now I know there is a lot of discussion between real tick and every tick and which one is better. These are just two data sets provided by your broker. I don't believe in either. The only real test is actually forward testing, where you apply the EA in a demo account and see over the next 2-3 months how the EA performs. You will like some things, you will not like some things, you will like some periods, you will not like some periods, and that will give you a bit of a feeling of when to apply the EA and when not to apply it. More importantly, when to turn it off. So those are the kind of things you will only learn during real testing, not in a back test. But anyways, we're going to run it on every tick, and let's look at the inputs. We're running it on Bitcoin profile. We're running it on 5-minute chart, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning and until 2100 hours in the evening. These are the Bitcoin related, crypto related inputs that I'm providing, and we're going to go through this a little bit more in details. So let's run the test. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that there are no running drawdowns, and that is because of a very tight stop loss that we put in place. The second thing to note is that there are periods where there are consecutive losses. There are periods when the EA is stagnant. So for example, between here and here. But overall, if you let the EA run for a longer period of time, it does have more good periods than bad periods. Now, this EA performs very well when the market is trending. It's going in one direction, whether up or down. When the market is choppy and is going sideways with no clear direction up or down, that's when the EA struggles a little bit. If you look at the backtest results, we started with a balance of €1,000. We're ending up with €433,000. We have 90% win rate on short trades. We have 90% win rate on long trades. We have a relative drawdown of 10%. Now, is it going to be the same in the real world? Don't know. I mean, I only know through the backtest that there are indications that this EA can perform. If you look at the hourlies, what you will see is that during the overlap of New York session and the London session is when the EA makes most of the money, but it is quite profitable during the London session alone as well. You can try it during the Asian session as well, but I have not had good experience with the Asian session because of the liquidity crunch during that time. Now let's look at gold. Again, 5-minute chart starting 2023 until 2024. On Inputs tab, we're going to select the profile gold, and thereby we're applying these inputs and not the Bitcoin inputs. Let's start. Once again, you see that there are no running drawdowns. There are periods of stagnation. There are periods of consecutive losses and drawdown as well. Here, for example, between June and September, it is completely stagnant. But if you let it be, the overall performance of the EA is up and up. If you look at the backtest results, what you will see is we started with a balance of €1,000. We're ending with a balance of €24,000. 10% drawdown, 93% win on short trades, and 92% win on long trades. Again, on the timing, you will see that during the overlap between London session and New York session is when the EA performs better. It makes more profit during that period, but it is quite decent during the London session as well. Now let's look at Nasdaq. And I will just run Nasdaq, but you can also apply it on US 30 as well, Dow Jones. On the input tab, we're going to go up and we're going to select US Indices as the profile. And now these inputs are going to be used and not the Bitcoin ones or the gold ones. Let's start the test. Once again, no relative drawdowns because of the tight stop losses, periods of stagnation, periods of consecutive losses. But overall, the performance of the EA is up and up. During the trending periods, the EA is going to perform very, very well. During sideways market, chaotic markets, sudden volatile markets where it goes up and down very, very quickly, the EA will struggle. If we look at the backtest results, we started with a balance of €1,000. We're ending up with around 24,000. Almost 9% relative drawdown, 92% win on short trades, and 91% win on long trades as well. Timing wise, on Nasdaq, as you would imagine, it's normally during the US session when the year is going to perform better because it is a US index. But it does do okay during the London session as well. But do your testing, see it in a demo account, whether you like the New York session alone, do you like the overlap of the London and New York session better, or do you like to run it overall between New York session and London session? Up to you. Now that we've seen the backtest results, we can start with the coding of the modifications. So today we're going to start looking at the modifications required in order to run it on Bitcoin, gold, and US indices. Starting from the previous video, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to arrange our variables into groups. So what I've done from the last video is that I've created two of these sections, and I have put the variables which are common, like risk percentage, time frame, magic number, start hour, end hour, total number of bars, expiration bar, because this is going to be common variables across all of the profiles. So I've grouped them together here. And then all of the Forex trading input related, like the TP point, SL point, trigger point, and the TSL points that I have put against another section. Now after this, we're going to get to the top, and what we're going to do is we're going to create one more section, and we're going to call it trading profiles. And we'll start with an enum because we're going to create a drop-down menu for our users to select from. So I'm creating an enum. I'm calling it system type. That's the variable type, which will be assigned later on to a variable. And I'm giving 4 inputs in within that: Forex, Bitcoin, gold, and US indices. And I'm giving them 0, 1, 2, and 3 as respective identifiers. Now for gold, because MQL already has somewhere in their coding gold used, so we cannot give it the name gold as a profile. So I'm giving it underscore gold. You can give it gold underscore. Just gold is going to give you an error. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, and we're going to call that variable system type. We're asking the user to provide the input, and this is why we're going to start with input system type by assigning this variable type so that these drop downs are available. We're going to create the variable as system type, and the default value that we're assigning to it is 0, which is Forex. And after 2 slashes, we give it a description: trading system applied, Forex, crypto, gold, or indices. And then I'm creating another integer variable, system choice, where I will store the value whatever the user selects. Then we come back up here, and I'm going to create another section, and I'm calling it crypto related input, which are effective only on the Bitcoin profile. And there, like the Forex, we're going to store these values. But for Bitcoin, we're going to have the values stored as percentages of the price. Now, one thing which is different from Forex into Bitcoin, gold, and US indices is that the prices can fluctuate a lot. So Bitcoin can be 10,000 one day, 15,000 another month, 60,000, 70,000. So the prices keep changing a lot. So we cannot assign a static stop loss. So we need to have it as a percentage of whatever is the price in the market. And so we are asking the user to provide an input of TP as a percentage of the price, SL as a percentage of the price, and then we're going to use that TP and assign the trigger of the stop loss and the stop loss itself, or the trailing stop loss itself, as a percentage of that TP. So as an example, if the price is 60,000 and we say 1% of the price is our TP, then 600 points is going to be our TP. 600 price up from the price, and 600 points below from the price will be our stop loss. And then out of that 600, if we say 10% is our trailing stop loss, then 60 points are going to be our trailing stop loss. We're going to do exactly the same for gold and for indices as well. Now, the reason I'm creating these different profiles, you can keep it under one because the logic is exactly the same. So you can keep it under one. But I'm creating it separately because I like to keep a track of what the percentages are, and if I want to change, and once I have found something which works on gold, or which works on indices, or which works on crypto, I don't want to have to remember it and change it every time that I apply it. So I'm creating 3 different profiles. So now that we have the profiles, then we can go ahead and we can assign the values in the initialization. And I say here that if the S type is 0, which is here, if the user has selected S type as 0, which is Forex, then this variable system choice is going to be 0. If the user has selected 1, which is Bitcoin, then system choice is 1. If user has selected S type as 2, then system choice is 2. And if they have selected S type as 3, which is indices, then the system choice is 3, which is indices. Now, one of the difficulties we're going to face is that here we have all of these points. We're collecting the input from the user. And if you're collecting an input from the user, then you cannot change the value of that variable during the operations. So we need to create 4 more variables. And I'm coming back up here into the common trading input. And I'm putting here these variables as double, and I'm calling them the TP point, the SL point, the TSL trigger point, and the TSL point. Now, if you would remember from the Forex video, and if you have coded along using that video, is that these are the variables that we use in the EA itself to send orders, to modify positions, and do all sorts of operations. So I'm creating them separately, and these will have 0 values at the start of the EA. Now, if you would remember from the Forex coding video, these variables were called TP points, SL point, TSL trigger point, and TSL point, but I've added the word input at the end of all of them, so that once we collect the value on the Forex from the user, these are input variables, but these are not assigned yet to these variables, and these are the variables that we're going to use in the EA. So while we collect the input, we keep it into the user provided input variables and not assign it to anything at this point in time. Same goes for crypto, same goes for gold, same goes for indices. All of these are collected from the users, but these are not assigned anywhere. So now on initialization, what we're going to do is we're going to start assigning. Now, for the default, what I'm going to do is I will assign to these variables the values that I have collected from the user under the Forex profile. So these variables are not empty. They have, by default, the Forex values into it. Then we go to the onTick function. So this is our new bar section. Everything written underneath is going to be run on opening of every new candle. And every code above this is going to be triggered on every tick. Because the system is going to come here on every tick. It will do whatever is here. Then it's going to check whether it's a new bar. And if it's not a new bar, it's going to exit. So nothing is going to be done. Only on a new bar, everything below this code line is going to be run. So when we come down here, once we have assigned the trading hours, then what we can do is we can just simply go that if the system choice is 1, which is our Bitcoin profile, then let's get the ask value by using the function symbol info double, sending the value of the current chart symbol and asking for the ask price. And then we'll use that ask price as the market price. And then we can go, then the TP point is going to be ask price multiplied by whatever TP as percentage the user has defined here for Bitcoin. And for the stop loss, we're going to use again the market price in terms of ask variable that we have stored the ask value in. And then we're going to multiply it by whatever is the stop loss defined as percentage. Under the crypto, here is the variable. So assign that value. And so on and so forth, we assign the order distance point. Now, for the order distance point, the logic in the Forex was if the SL points were 200 points, 20 pips, then we were putting the order distance point as 100, which is 10 pips, which is half. And I'm using the same logic here by saying that whatever is the TP now, or whatever is the SL now, put the order distance point as divided by 2. Then for the TSL point, what we're going to do is we have the TP points now. So we're going to multiply it by the TSL as a percentage of TP. We're using this. So if the user has said that 5% of the TP is going to be my trailing stop loss and 7% of my TP is going to be my trigger of the stop loss, then we come down here and we say multiply that as a percentage, so first converting into a percent and then multiplying it by the TP points. So if the TP points were, 600 and TSL as a percentage of TP is 10, then it's basically 60 points. Then we go to the next line and we repeat the same process for gold by saying if system choice equals 2, and if you put 2 equal signs, that's a condition check. So if system choice equals 2, then get the ask price, then multiply the TP or get the TP points by multiplying the ask price, which is the market price, by whatever is the TP as a percentage gold. So use this variable instead. And then the same for SL, then the same for trigger point, following exactly the same logic. we go, then the SL point equals this variable multiplied by price, and then the TSL points and the TSL trigger points are going to be whatever is the TP points multiplied by whatever is the trigger of the stop loss as a percentage of TP gold. Then if the choice is indices, then exactly the same process, get the ask value by sending the symbol value and asking for ask. And this time around, we multiply the ask value with the TP as a percentage or stop loss as a percentage, but this time indices section. Now, these are the values that I have used in the backtest that I've shown you, but by creating these separate profiles, that gives you the flexibility of creating different scenarios, optimizing differently, and remembering and putting that value and hard coding it so that you don't have to remember it all the time. So this is it, guys. These are all the modifications that you're going to use to convert the Forex EA that we created in the previous video to apply it on Bitcoin, gold, and US indices. Now, this is not limited to this, because once you follow the logic that now we're using TPs, stop loss, trigger points, and stop loss points as a percentage of the price, now you can check this on other things as well, like, I don't know, oil, whatever else you trade. You can try this percentage method and see what values work and what values do not work. Before I go, just a few very important points. Number one, no EA makes money every day, every week, every month. There will be times when the EA will make money, and then there will be times when the EA will not make money or even lose money. We just hope that the periods in which the EA makes money far outweigh and are more frequent than the times when the EA loses money or is stagnant. The second point is this EA, at least in my experience, works better when the market is trending, either up or down. When the market is chaotic, volatile, or is stagnant, that's when the EA struggles. The third point is, because it's a scalping robot, the volume of the trade is going to be massive. So you require really tight spreads. So if your broker does not have very tight spreads offered, then I would suggest you to try it on different brokers and see which ones it works on, which ones it doesn't work on. The fourth important point is that your broker needs to allow scalping. And by that, I mean setting the trailing stop loss extremely close to the price. I know some brokers do not allow setting the stop loss very close to the price. And if that is the case, then the trailing stop loss is not going to work. And if the trailing stop loss is not going to work, then this strategy is not going to work, because this strategy completely banks on the idea that as the price moves in our favorable direction, then we start to trail the stop loss extremely aggressively. So since the entire EA is based on that, there is no getting around it. So when you run the test and you get 60% or 50% win rate, the first thing to check is whether or not your trailing stop loss is working. And if it's not working, well, after checking the codes that the codes are correct, what you need to check is that your broker actually allows the trailing stop loss to be trailed very, very aggressively. Now, further points, again, I will keep talking about them in the frequently asked questions. Run it on every take, run it on real takes, see what you like, see what you don't like. The real test is forward testing, because that's the only time when you're actually applying the EA into the real market conditions. And that's the only way to know whether or not you like it. And even if you like it, which parts of it you like and which parts of it you want to tweak. So backtesting is good, but backtesting is not real testing. Now, in the next video, I will come back with a few filters which we're going to apply on this EA to tighten the trading even further. So for example, if the price is too far away from the moving average, we don't want to trade. If the RSI is above 75, below 25, we don't want to trade. If there is a major news event upcoming, then we not only want to not trade, but we also want to turn off the EA, and we want to delete any order which is sitting. So those kind of filters, I will come back in the next video. Leave me a comment if there's something that I didn't explain well, or if there are any questions. Frequently asked questions, I will continue to put them together into a frequently asked questions segment. And we will continue to come back with more and more stuff. So stay tuned. And until next time, guys, stay safe, trade safe.